events last year. And for me, it's a great pleasure to do it again this year, also to see this difference, the gap between last year when we started our journey in data science with the team who will present this evening, who is located in Belgrade, which was one of my big ambitions to create such a team and to develop it. And last year, they just started for a few months, and therefore we had a lot of cool ideas and good concepts to present, but relatively thin amount of demonstrable results. And while I'm always happy to get more results, this year it's a bit different. So that's why I'm very happy about that. And who knows, next year how much further we will be. But I hope, at least for the ones who were there last year, that this will come out. And now basically I picked this quote from Bill Gates quite simply because for me that summarizes very, very well what is currently happening. So let me read it. Agents are smarter. They're proactive, capable of making suggestions before you ask them. They accomplish tasks across applications. They improve over time because they remember your activities and recognize intent and patterns in your behavior. Based on this information, they offer to provide what they think you need, although you will always make the final decisions. And that quote for me incarnates extremely well the way that we have tried to go towards AI. Not to go with the hype, much more to go with the real capacities, the real results that we can get from these models. Because let's be honest, what these models can do is amazing. A few years ago, we would not even have believed that was possible. But still, there is a lot of things which require a certain approach, a certain mindset, a certain philosophy, so that we can really extract a business value out of these technologies. And in that direction, this was a bit the introduction and invitation to the meeting. I'd like to introduce our extended team this year. And it's not only an extended team because we have new human team members like Luca, who is here. It's an extended team because we are adding, as you can see here, some agentic people in our team, like what you will see already this evening, Bob, the KPI guy, who is nothing else than another team member from my perspective, who is able to answer the questions of our client. I would say as well, but probably to some degree on many aspects, much better than I would if I was in front of the customer and I had to answer the same question. And we're extending the team with Sunny the Search Scout, with Rex the Record Rangers, with Bart the Page Wizard, and many others to come. So that's basically in a nutshell where we are, where we're going with our journey with AI. And now I will actually let Radko tell you more about actually these aspects in particular, but also my colleagues, Marco, to tell you more about actionable analytics, and Luca about audiences, marketing automation, and the value of the semantic layer for the future of the app. Then I will come back with some other highlights I'd like to bring in the picture as well for this evening. But let's let them first show you what they have done in the elapse of this last year since we hosted our last event.
Just one question. Shouldn't AI make you and me look better than in reality?
Well, it's yeah. Maybe I could have tried a bit more that way. Fair enough.
Wait, but just look at my Alan though.
It's just on Dana, for example, but then I look at you and me.
I think we would agree on this. Dana is the one who came out the best out of this little exercise. That's very true. It's very true. Good. Then, yeah, Rato.
So the real answer to your question is two words, none of banana. But what is... Yes, 3 words.
Right, so the Gen AI, the topic that no matter what you did over the course of the past 12 months, you could not escape. Not even if you lived underneath a rock. Gartner declared 2025 to be the year when the Gen AI agents take off. That is where we see their wide and deep adoption across an array of different industries. And over the same period, we've been constantly bombarded by these different estimates of the share of the jobs that this new agentic virtual workforce would automate. Various LLM-powered systems and agentic systems promise not only to handle those tedious and repetitive tasks that no one likes doing, but rather to automate even those aspects of our job that we found creative and strategic. So basically those aspects that we thought that forever, or at least for a considerable amount of time, would remain primarily within the domain of human work. Doctors started using agents to diagnose illnesses. Marketeers started using them for planning campaigns and generating creative assets. And data analysts started using them for automating BI reporting, bringing advanced analytical insights in real time and in a conversational medium rather than the traditional dashboards that we used to deal with. So as these systems matured, the question is no longer what they could potentially do, but rather what they can do for us now, and more importantly, how we can integrate them into our existing processes in a meaningful, governable, and reliable manner. So, as a pioneer in all things AI, as you all know, Boxalino has not only followed these trends, but actively shaped them throughout the period. And the products that I will be presenting and demoing for you today will allow you to include this awesome power of agentic AI into your existing processes, exactly as I said, in a meaningful, comparable, and reliable manner. We'll go through how they will augment your analytics, your product information management, as well as content generation. So let's start with the analytics. For some of you, module BI with AI is something you've probably already heard about, but this time it will be the first time when you actually see it in the real action. And soon you'll also be able to test it on your own business's data to get insights from it. You can document else than a simple natural language conversation. So in a nutshell, what it is a specialized data analysis agent that aims to automate real-time business intelligence reporting and democratize access to high-quality insights regardless of users' technical expertise. It is primarily designed with conversational analytics in mind. So instead of using these traditional dashboards where you play around with these predefined filters, wait for the data to refresh, and then basically interpret the insights based on the charts, here you just ask a natural language question about your e-commerce business and get a near real-time data-driven answer and strategic recommendations based on the internal business metrics that the system has access to, industry expertise, as well as the broader market trends to give it some context. Aside from the main conversational medium, the system is also capable of generating periodic or on-demand presentations, as well as news-like reporting videos for the key decision makers. And finally, it has a wide array of external tools at its disposal, be it the analytics or visualization libraries, be it various APIs where it can get additional information that it needs in order to appropriately answer a question. It is capable of transcending the simple descriptive analytics and tackling much more complex problems, those in the sphere of causal and predictive analysis as well. And finally, it's also capable of training and using machine learning models on its own for the purposes of the task data. So let's see how it actually works in practice. So now we are in your already known environment. We are in Boxalino's admin, and what we'll do is we will choose the AI module. Yeah, on the left, thank you. We'll choose the AI assistant, and as Hilman said, the first thing you'll notice is that we see this agent selection menu. So aside from the KPI guide that we will be demoing today, very soon we will also have different specialized agents for each of the spheres of services that Boxalino offers. But for now, let's focus on the KPI guy and let's click on it. Let's choose a new conversation. And as we see right up the bat, we can just start directly writing the natural language question that we have. We can even dictate it using the voice recording. And if we are not inspired, we can also use one of these predefined questions to get the analysis going. For start, let's choose a rather simple question. So how did my average order value evolve over the past 6 months? And so we click on it. And we typically don't take long. The processes behind is sometimes quite complex, but it usually arrives in 20 to 40 seconds. And if it's very, very complex and includes training and inferencing using machine learning models, it usually takes up to a minute. All right, so here we got not only the metrics that we asked it for, but also a narrative answer that contextualizes it. And we also see that in order to produce this answer, the system had to choose the right data, query, choose the right analysis in order to perform, and then wrap it all up in a summarized narrative answer. Let's go with something more complex this time. Let's ask it, how did my average
Swiss keyboard.
let's see, how did my average order value evolve year over year in the first 6 months of 2025? So what we're asking it to do now is a bit more complex. We're asking it to basically barely write the time series and meaningfully compare them, and then deliver us an answer that will basically be understandable right up the bat without additional analysis. Let's see what it does. And aside from the actual metrics and the actual comparison that we asked it to do, it deemed that it might be useful to also provide us a chart further corroborating the results it gave. And behind the scenes, what happened, it chose to use an external library, in this case Plotly, to basically deliver this visualization. And just for you to know, so this is not pre-generated. It first started from the answer it needed to give and then decided that this is exactly the best way to show it. And we see, everything is clear. We see the first 6 months of 2024 compared to the first 6 months of 2025. Now, let's do something even more complex. Let's get it to exit the sphere of descriptive analytics and do some causal analysis. So let's ask it something like, what were the key drivers of revenue last month? So this is the rather complex question, and see that we are not giving it any specific instructions on how to tackle it. It needs to understand the KPI we're asking about, and it needs to check the whole data set that it has at its disposal to find the real suspects behind the changes that we've seen. So let's see what it will do. This usually kind of takes a while because it basically fits and inferences based on 6 different machine learning models. And you can see its thought process. Adding polish is very important one. And here we go. So let's see what it did. It delivered us quite a detailed narrative report. First, what it did is it went to the usual suspects behind the changes in revenue. It looked at the amount of new orders, average order value, and new customers. What it then did is it created a machine learning model for the period of past 6 months and another machine learning model for the period of last month, and it compared how the importances of the best predictors change in order to basically find those that are most likely to stand behind the changes that we see last month. And what it did for each of these, so for own web orders, it determined that the engagement percentage, direct sessions, and newsletter subscriptions without purchase were the ones whose basically evolution mostly influenced the changes in the revenue. But it did not stop there. It further segmented them across the channels, the campaigns, and the customer mix, and finally summarize it all in the short summary that basically anyone can understand regardless of their technical expertise. Okay, so let's move on to the next product. This is our no-touch product information management system powered by AI. We all know just how important proper product information management is for your e-commerce. From the filters on your product page over the search optimization all the way to the recommender systems which power your cross-selling or upselling strategies. If you don't have your PIM in order, your e-shop is in chaos and your customers are usually frustrated. But on the other hand, it takes a massive amount of manual labor in order to do it properly. You need to go to hundreds of PDFs to write just the right value for the engine volume of that lawnmower that you might be selling, or map all of the variations in color of the laces for that pair of sneakers that became a hit last month. And not everyone can afford to dedicate that much time to this process. But don't worry, GenAI product has you covered, as it transforms product data management by automating the extraction, the enrichment, and the validation of product attributes. So basically, you give it anything that you have. You give it the existing product data, you give it the supplier documentation, Word files, PDFs, whatever. You give it the desired schema for the attribute classification, as well as some custom rules that you want it to apply. And what it does, it autonomously parses the text, the documents, the tables, and images, and extracts not only the right values of your attributes, but also applies the right units to them, as well as assigns confidence score, how confident it is that it is the right value chosen. And if it doesn't find the right value from the resources that you provided, well, it will just cite to Google on its own. And when it finds the right value, it will give you the exact source where it found it, the chunk of text or the table where it extracted it from, as well as how confident it is in its find. The end result is ready to publish data that you can directly push into your PIM, massively reducing the amount of time that you need to spend in order to have a proper, relevant, and up-to-date product information. So let's see how it works in practice. Let's do a short demo. Here, we will choose the GenAI product. And what we see right up the bat is this broad overview where you can search for products either by their name, their ID, or you can even choose them by categories. And what you get is all of the products that match your query. You will get an overview of their key attributes with the focus on those that the LLM deemed necessary for changing. You can also validate all of the attributes, all of the changes that the LLM has recommended on the product level, or you can ask for them to be reevaluated because you don't find them accurate enough. And if you click on one of the products, you will get a much more detailed view of the product itself, where you will see exactly what I told you. So for example, it recommends us that for a product iPhone 15 Pro Max, we should change the attribute battery life from 27 hours to 29 hours because it did a web search, and on the official Apple's website, it found that it says up to 29 hours of battery life with the confidence of 96%. So you can make your validation, your edits on a much more granular level, basically on the level of the attribute. And finally, you can use the system to basically do batch classification. So either by some explicit list of product IDs or by category, or basically you can also validate all of the recommended values based on some threshold for the confidence. So let's say validate all of the attribute changes that have more than 90% confidence. That's it. And finally, let's say a few words about the generic content, which is basically the equivalent of what generic product does for your PIM, but only in the sphere of creative content generation. So basically creative content assets for your marketing campaigns most likely takes more than 80% of your creative team's time. And what we are aiming to do here is reduce that time massively by basically automating it and turning your SEO insights, product data, and campaign briefs into instantly usable multi-channel marketing assets. So you provide it with some documentation on what you want your campaign to do, or some SEO holes that you want covered. You want to appear higher in the search results for certain keywords. And what it does, it creates a plan for that for the content category that you want to generate. It creates a list of individual content pieces and then produces a wide array of ready-to-publish content pieces, from SEO pages and newsletters over ad texts and social media posts, all the way up to certain blogs or guides that will increase user engagement on your eShop. As it's the case with GenAI product, this system is primarily designed as no-touch, so completely autonomous, but if you desire to do so, you can always have an absolute control over what it does. There will be a validation interface like the one you saw before. And the idea is that by delivering this ready-to-publish content, it will basically massively reduce the amount of time you need to spend on generating it, and allow you to focus on some more creative and strategic aspects of your job. Thank you very much for your attention. I pass the floor to Wagesthan.
Thank you, Christoph. Good job. Good evening, welcome. I was hoping to do this actually sitting down, but I don't want to be the first one. So, on to analytics. Now, we are data scientists and we proud ourselves as being problem solvers. So, I'm going to start with a problem, or rather a challenge. Why reports chaos? And this is a statement of fact. Majority of businesses consider their analytical departments at no impact to their business, or at least not some measurable impact. Why is this the case? Why is reporting not giving you the uplift that you actually need? We analyzed this and we essentially determined two key pieces. One is interpretability, and another one is actionability. Now, the problem with interpretability is that majority of your business users will look at the data, endless tables, charts that they may or may not understand, and are expected to apply large amounts of effort and time to actually understand that, to actually derive insights, business knowledge, and business value. Now, that first problem, as my brilliant colleague just demonstrated, is solved by things like KPI, Bob the KPI guy, which provides you with the ways of, through natural language, the interpretation of your data without you having to put the efforts in actually doing so. Another is actionability. The reports you have usually represent the past. It represents what has already happened. And while you are analyzing these reports, while you're trying to derive insights, it's usually too late to react. Our approach solving this problem is to look at the process of creating these reports and to derive insights through analytics for you, to derive actions that you can take immediately and even in terms of time before they become a problem. So how do we achieve this process? So we take your business requirements, something that you all do have, and we contextualize them and justify them. What does that mean? So we put them in the context of a value to your company or value to your business. So we're not just showing you the data just to show you the data. We justify it by speaking with your business people, doing our own analysis, doing a derivation of what actually drives your business, what is the target and what you are trying to achieve. These things by nature drive actions. So just looking at the data will give you nothing. Doing something based on the informed decisions informed by data will actually provide you with value. In these terms, we take your business requirements, we process them through into technical requirements, and we assign them into one of four analytical disciplines. Descriptive analytics will usually show you what has happened. That's the current state of things. Diagnostic analytics will show you why it happens. That's, again, what my colleague mentioned about causality. Why does something reach this step? Predictive analytics does with forecasting and predicting the outcome, predicting the future, and trying to assert what is the possibility that could happen so you can actually react in time. Prescriptive analytics gives you the opportunity to preemptively engage, to either drive the business toward the target you want it to drive to, or to prevent some bad behavior from happening. Now we make a distinction between the reports and the actionable dashboard. Why? Well, reports, as we'll see in the demo, will usually show you just that. It will show you the data. It will show you the best. And we don't deny this access. Yeah, if you want to have a deep drill down into your data, of course, you should be allowed and you should be capable of doing. Actionable dashboards is something that we will focus in these terms. So what this refers to is we will start, essentially speaking, at the end of this process, which is this. The action reports. This report is not showing. This is based just on a single analysis. This is based on two aspects of your user groups. One being the audiences, which my colleague Luca will go deep into how do you create them and what their purpose is, and the segments of users. From my part, the only distinction you should make is that audiences are something that you create yourself. These are your targets that you choose to compile into certain groups. They can be based on anything that you want, any target metric. Segments, on the other hand, are based purely on mathematical principles. So this is what we do without you having to interact with them. They are usually based on some KPIs or some metrics. Average order value, conversion rate, it doesn't matter. What this focuses specifically on is the average basket size, your average cart size in a retail shop. Now, these underlying systems are not only detecting certain changes over time, they are also detecting triggers and recommending actions. So, for instance, the trigger for this group is that the daily change in basket size is dropping 16.7%. and it has a recommended action for you to offer a small checkout perk to those users. Incentivize them to finish their purchase. There are others. There are things like, surprisingly enough, this is considered a pure severity, but so you can see that the daily change of drastic measures of 76% is actually resulting in a different action, different recommendation of what you should do. Now, unfortunately, there is nothing being done on the demo account to counteract this, so it just constantly tells you to do the same thing, but on another date, it will tell you another thing. These actions are not solely separated by the trigger that they. So a steep decline in daily change will trigger if it's below 15% or whatever the reinforcing learning agents behind it decide to do. They will also change by severity, which means if you have steep change, it will consider it an alert, not a warning. So essentially you're overdue on some action. There's also the info part on the other hand, but these severities not only track the immediate changes, they also track trends over time, like 7-day trend, 30-day trend. It's not only immediate action, it's long-term or prolonged negative influences on your, in this specific case, basket size. This is, essentially speaking, the end goal of any analytical platform, and it's the end goal for you. You need to know what to do. You need some recommendations what to do. Well, you have them based on analytical processes. You have them based on the analysis of metric. You have them based on deep dives and the engine structures of AI system that recommend these actions. But if you want to see the details of them, you can. There's your report. These reports give you the foundations of what others advanced AI systems use to interpret this data. So the systems like Bob the KPI guy have a foundation of this data to drive their insights. And you have the ability to go through your data, dive deeper into any form of analytics, any conversation, anything that you want to see, or you can even create your custom tables if there are specific things that you want to see, like, okay, by brand, tell me what the sellout quantities are, and include previous year's comparison, and you click one button and you can create your own visual tables. Now, this is all good and well, but it still falls into that reporting thing. You're still expected, although given an action, to analyze this data, to derive this. There we go into like certain specialized aspects, like the audiences, like the segmentation. So another one of these would be, let's say, with severity. So it will go into the audience analytics side of things. And this is just customer created audience created by my colleague Luca. And it will show you the average basket size per month. It will show you the distribution. It will show you the underlying data that caused the agent to give you a certain recommendation, a certain recommended action. And this is, again, preemptively done. You don't need data analysts, and you don't need hours, maybe days of effort to reach these conclusions when it may become too late. But you can also do this through segmentation. So these are your mathematically based groups that have certain clusters, certain descriptions. So this cluster has bargainers, big ticket shoppers, regular value shoppers, where you have the explanation, natural language explanation of what metrics are behind it. So low average spend, low purchase frequency. So it's essentially speaking AOV and purchase frequency. So these groups are based on some metrics, some mathematical, and you can again see they're developing over time, and you can always. This part is to justify or to give you confidence in what these agents are recommending as actions. That's it for me. I'll hand your attention over to my colleague Luca. Thank you.
Thank you, Marco. Yeah, obviously I'm not as good a speaker as Ratko and Marco are, but I'll be able to hopefully to share my knowledge to you. So today I'll speak about 3 different topics. Mostly it will be about the AI for marketing automation, and later I'll actually have to speak about a little bit more technical and boring topic, which is actually a prerequisite of everything that we do, and that's more about data foundation in order to successfully do everything that we've shown. So first, in order to still keep you engaging, I will start with a demo, with the audience demo, which is the tool that we put in production the last couple of weeks. So yeah, this is just a simple joke. Argon telling me not to expect for this demo to actually work. But yeah. Okay, so here we'll talk about the audience tool. Audience tool is the tool where you can actually create your own audiences and your own customer segments. And Marco showed you we have created one audience for you, which is exactly the Zara under 40 audience. And actually, you can see here the overview of all of your audiences created and the statistics about them. So first, let's look at the overview of this Zara under 40 audience. Actually, we can see that this audience had actually 1,142 customers out of the total 38,000 customers, which makes 3% of the total customers. We can also see the customer value, which is very important to know, of this segment, of this audience. And we can also see the average customer value, which compared to the total one, which you can see this exact audience is actually spending more than the other ones. So in order to show you how to actually create the audience, I'm going to create a new audience together with you. So we would go to the Create Audience button, and let's create a very interesting audience for us. Let's create new customers who actually are interested in Nike brand, and we're also from Zürich. So let's do that actually. So we can name this new customers. Then let's say they like Nike or they purchase Nike, and let's say they are from Zurich. Okay, so we can put a description on. This is for our own reference, and we can start creating audience ourselves. This is why it's so powerful, because with the filters that we have here, and those are general filters that we currently have available, and we are releasing new ones every 2 weeks. Plus, we can also have a new filter types for each of the customers. So if you have some special groups that you really want to, so it's very easy for us to actually add those filters. So first we said we want new customers, so we can do that with 9 different filters. But let's say that the first order date of those customers are greater than, and obviously you can define what's new customers for you. Let's say for me the new customers are customers that bought something in the last 3 months. Okay, so let's say I think today is October 9, let's do that. And here, when we click this button, get statistics, we actually have a real-time analytics. We actually have a real-time impact, which is powered by our real-time platform, where you can see the numbers that from this group. So on the right side, you can see the rule group impact. So we can see that this rule group actually is 12% of the total group. The customer value is the 7% of the whole customer value. And the average customer value is obviously smaller than the total because they're new customers, they still don't have time to spend money with us. So on top, you actually see the numbers for the whole audience. And obviously, currently, as we only have one rule group, is the same number. But now we can go and create a new rule group, and we want to now find our customers who are purchased Nike. So we can go, they can do different filters. Maybe they deal Nike or something else. But let's say that we actually want to say that they purchased Nike brand before. So yeah, that's exactly. We choose, we say Nike, and we now get the statistics for that rule group. And that's very important. We want to understand the impact of this new group that we create. Now we can see that this rule group has 4,866 customers. We can see that the customer value is way higher, and that the average customer value is way higher than the total, which already gives us insights that the customers who are buying Nike actually spend way more money with us. But on the top, compared to the previous one, we don't have the same numbers as in the rule groups because now we have them combined. And here you can see that the combined rules, we use the ends. So we are using the intersection between those two rule groups. And on the top, we can see that together they're forming this audience of 868. So it's 2.3% of our total customers. We can see that their customer value and their average customer value. Still, let's say that we maybe wanted to put or here. That maybe that would also make sense because that would mean we also want either new customers or either customers that bought Nike. So maybe if you want a different campaign, you can also do that. But that's just for the sake of this demo. You can see that obviously the number changed and the number is way higher. And now let's create the last thing that we wanted to create, and that's we said, yeah, we want new customers Nike, but we also want them to be from Zürich. Okay, we go to the filter type. We can do this differently. Maybe the zip code distance. Maybe you want people in a certain circle. But for purpose of this demo, let's just do from the region. Let's find the region here. Here, the region, so it matches exactly. And yeah, let's look at this. Yeah. Going off to run. Yeah. So let's look at the statistics now. So we can see the impact of this rule group, and we actually see that all of our customers are from Zurich, which makes 25% of that. And on the top corner, you can see that actually this audience is very small. We have only 220 customers that we want to target, and we can see their customer value and their average customer value. So let's save this audience because we want to use them.
Sorry, still so.
So now we create this new audience, and it's very important that this new audience we can use in many different ways. One of the ways is in analytics. Different ways is you can actually export any of the audiences like this. And we are doing this in a very safe way with the GDPR compliant because this sensitive information we can actually integrate with you and send to your own storage or to our storage links where you can safely take this data from. But you can automate these exports. You can create new exports. You can you can choose the frequency of the export. You maybe want this every day, every month, a certain time, every hour maybe, to have this new fresh data because we said it's real-time data that changes every hour. And also obviously you can use it in automation with us. So each audience will have its its own ID, or obviously its name. So you can tell us, hey, we want to actually use this audience to do something to automate some process in our own surface. So yes, let's continue the conversation about the marketing automation that we do in Boxalino. So here we have 4 different pillars pretty much of newsletter and email automation projects. First one, we'll talk about mechanical triggers. So those are the very simple triggers that we can create, like abandoned basket, products on sale, wish list products on sale, product receipt reminder, inactivity action, and many, many others. They're easy to create. We have them, some of them already pre-created, some of them we can easily create based on your needs. And they're very easy, as I said, very easy to create. Now, the only thing you need to do with us is to actually integrate your data, which we do, and then you provide us a template that we use for the email. What we do, our automated data pipelines go into it every day, and let's talk about wish list products on sale. We see, okay, are there some products on sale? Yes, okay. Are they in somebody's wish list? Yes, great. We also check if they purchased maybe the product since they wish listed. Okay, no, great. It's time to actually trigger an email. And we are not just saying trigger the email, but we're already, since we have your template, we are ingesting those products into email, and we're actually having email that are ready for you to send. So we do the whole process of automation for you. Then we have a different pillar. We have a newsletter automation where we actually talked about different personalizations. So we can actually personalize each mail for each of the customer based on your needs. Obviously, it can be, again, different pillars there. Maybe you want full personalization or not that much. So maybe you can say, yeah, I actually want to market those 10 products in this newsletter, but actually I want to put 5 in the email. So based on that, we can run the mathematics, vector search, and based on that, put for each customer the best matching 5 products for them. Or maybe we can even go to fuller personalization. If you have a broader marketing campaign, maybe you want to market everything from Zara, which is obviously a lot of items. And again, we can easily go mathematically find the best items for each of the customer and put them in templates for you. And we have emails that are ready to be sent every day. Then we go to the third pillar, which are LLM triggers, and they are really in between those 2 pillars. And now is the interesting part, I guess. So mechanical triggers are very low in volume, but very high in conversion, as you can imagine. While the newsletter automation are on the higher spectrum, which, yes, it's high volume, less conversion, but very risky sometimes because we are bombarding our customers. We don't want to do that. We want to avoid that risk. So LLM triggers are somewhere in between, where we actually have, let's say, 2 different topics. One topic is maybe about the sportswear, other topic is about the skirts, and we let LLM decide which topic is best for each customer. We don't want to bombard them with all the topics. So okay, it finds that the skirts are better match for this customer, sportswear is actually a perfect match for this customer. But what also LLM triggers understand, LLM have a complete communication history of your clients. So it can actually say, yeah, but yesterday we had a trigger for a certain customer, even though this skirt marketing campaign is perfect, let's wait until the end of campaign. Let's wait 10 days because we don't want to bombard this customer with a lot of emails. So it's really thinking about how you communicate to your clients and which topic is the best to communicate to your clients. And then the last pillar is really the generative AI, which can help you to actually write a different variation of text for you. So you could give us, we can speak to you, you can give us your style, you can give us examples. And based on that, we can create the different variations. Let's say we could create 20 different variations of a heading. And instead of sending the same heading, we could actually do a small A/B test with 20 different variations, 20 different styles. And we can actually test maybe on the first couple of thousand customers, what is the winning combination. Now, when we have a winning combination, we can actually send to the rest one the best matching styles. Now, also to mention before I finish that we're also exploring different things. We are now testing. So we are actually trying kind of the full style personalization where we can also track each customer style. So on the first run, we can either randomize the styles or mathematically we could calculate the styles. Maybe the younger population would like more like a emoji style. So we can send them the first time and save the and save and understand their style. And if you're seeing that this style is winning for them, we can keep sending the email and communication in that style. Or if we see that they're not opening email, that they're not converting, we can start to change the style. So we are really understanding the style of each customer. So that's kind of the last pillar. And obviously all those pillars are working also together. Now I guess that was more engaging part. Now I really need to talk about some of the prerequisites. So everything that Ratko talked, everything that Marco talked, everything that I talked before is really a game changer. It's very important, but in order to accomplish that, you really want to have a strong data foundation. And what I'm going to talk today is really two things: data warehouse and semantic layers. So basically, data warehouse is, you probably heard of it, is a central nervous system of modern data ecosystems. And it's really this centralized storage, which is well documented and very, very organized. And it's very trustable. That's very important because you need to trust this data. If we go to the next slide, the main question is, okay, why this data warehouse now matter of age of AI more than ever, actually? It's simple because the AI models and LLMs are only as effective as the quality of data that they learn from. You know, old saying, garbage in, garbage out. That's something like that. So we now explain that we have a central storage of organized, trustable data. But now let's talk more about semantic layer. And what semantic layer is actually a bridge between the data and between the humans and AI. Now, why are we talking about this? Because it's really a business logic layer that connects data to analytics and our models. Now I'll try to use anatomy analogy a little bit in order to explain this very nicely. So now if we have a central nervous system, we said we have actually the brain, we are storing the information. In anatomy, I think it's called hippocampus, where we have all this information. But still, even though it's organized, very well documented, it's still enough of him. It's still a lot of information for AI and LLM models. Now we need some kind of bridge and some kind of neural pathways, if we go to this analogy, to explain and to help LLM to actually find the information that we need and to find and how to connect all the dots in this kind of brain. So that's what actually the semantic layer is. It's actually the tool for AI to actually find the information and connect the information on a way it needs to do. So basically, if you're asking some question to AI, AI actually use the semantic layer to know, okay, actually I need to go here, I need to go here, and this is how I connect those two dots, and now it's easy. Now it's easy to grasp this much of information to AI because it knows exactly where to go and how to do it. And that actually answers all of your questions. Now, this is my last slide. I just want to kind of visualize everything that we talked about. If you really want to have a strong foundation, you should have the very strong data warehouse, and on top of that, this semantic layer. So we said that what central nervous system, what this data warehouse, you should integrate all of your data into it. So from different sources like ERP, Google Analytics, search data, marketing data, maybe PIM, maybe even your competitors' data. You put all of it, and now it's all about the structure. We have this bronze layer, silver layer, gold layer. This is all kind of in the back end. It's more technical, but it's very important to actually structure and organize data. And we have these data quality layers because we said we really want to trust this data. We need to know that this data is clean and trustable. And thus now we come to the gold layer, and it's ready to use clean and very documented data. If you're already here, you're on a good spot to success and to succeed. But if you really want to grasp into the world of AI, you actually need to put the semantic layer on top of it, again, in order to help AI to use all of your information on the best possible way. because here, if you're already here and if you give all the information to LLMs and AI, it's going to be hard for LLM to understand everything that you want to understand your metrics, how you see your metrics, how you calculate your metrics, and many other things. And now when we have this semantic layer on top of it, it's way easier to come here where Marco and Ratko talked about AI agents, actionability. So also reporting an analytics layer, yes, you could cook up on the goal layer, but if you could have it cook up on an analytical layer, you can actually have AI agents help you in all of your BI endeavors and analytics. So yes, it's the technical, I don't want to go into it, but I really wanted to explain that all of this needs to have a strong data foundation and structure, and we are here to help you to do that. Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Invels command.
Okay, so now let me do the last part. As my team knows very well, because I am amazingly annoying on that term, for me, productivity matters. And productivity is actually not guaranteed at the age of AI. And on the one side, amazing tools like the one Radko demonstrated before are extremely exciting, also for a top manager to go into a conversational data agent, the chats, and being able to ask questions about how is your business going, how are things evolving, and so on and so forth. But productivity is also about automating tasks that are not needed to be done by a user anymore. So while it's essential that you have the possibility, when you have a question, when you don't understand something about your business, to have a smart AI agent you can talk to, you can speak with, who knows your data and is able, exactly thanks to what Luca explained through the semantic layer, he knows exactly how to maneuver himself, organize, find his way in your data in order to then do something helpful. But there's another part, which I think we all know in analytics and reporting, there's a certain aspect of regularity. Every month, we need to have the review with the CEO about these types of figures. And we need to have an assessment, how we're doing compared to the last month. And we want this to be always the same. And we want this to be efficient, and we want everyone to read the document before the meeting. And all of these things matter for productivity. So here, what we have done, and in the background, it is exactly the same as what Radko showed with the AI agent, except the AI agent is behind the scene, is working behind the scene, instead of being directly asked a question when you're chatting with. And so here, for instance, I can go into our tool. So I need to have every month this monthly revenue report. And in this monthly revenue report, I need to have different slides. And I want these slides to be done in a certain way, with a certain template, with a certain approach. But I also want to have the narrative, the interpretation of the AI, to tell me, like, not just show me the number, but give me some interpretation. So here, for instance, I can say, well, I want these KPIs, I want these results, but I also want to see these drivers of change, like what Radko showed. And I'd like them to be prepared for me and say, last month, these are the key drivers of change that happened. And here I can do that. I can organize my slides. I can define what type of charts I want here. I can also do an AI prompt, the instructions for the LLM of how he should comment on that slide. And then when I'm done, then basically I can, and here I will just trigger it myself from my environment. But the idea is that then automatically in the background, what I will show you is happening. But I think it's interesting that I show you that you can see it actually happening in action. Yeah. So you see, the system started to do the task, started to create these slides, started to create all of the aspects that I told him to do in the other admin. So that means that you can define your own reports at your own frequency with your own KPI, static or dynamic. As we have seen, some KPIs are static because I always want to see my revenue like this every month. But I would like to have a narrative interpretation about, is it good? Is it bad? What happened? But some of the slides, I would really like to see something dynamic to say, well, I have hundreds of KPIs. Each of them has dozens of segmentations. I'd like to be able to see what's coming out of it. And you can see the system, step by step, it's building these aspects. We can maybe a little bit already look under the curtain what it is doing, even if we will mainly wait after to see. So we can see he's creating Google Sheet. He's basically creating some charts, all of these things while I'm speaking to you. This is the part which, they know me that I like. It's like, for me, it's great that there's a great AI for our customers to use, but an AI doing my job for me, that's much more exciting. Yeah, Maya is creating some screenshots that you will see afterwards in the video. Well, that's important. And now I can go to my URL. So while I was talking to you, that's exactly, the part I like about the system. That's what the system was doing. It was creating that slide deck for me. And that's very important because, again, I love these exploration possibilities of the chat. You go to the chat, you ask whatever you want. But I also like the repetition, the repeatability of the process in that way, in a way which is repeatable, automatable, and shareable with my team. So here I can see, okay, and that's a more of a traditional way to look at things. It's like, okay, we have our way to look at the revenue. Last year, this year. Now, we know that Boxalino has a lot of e-commerce customers, so we are going to create a benchmark. I'd like to know how we're performing compared to this benchmark. And I have a certain way to show this and to say, well, here, I'd like to show in thousands of Swiss francs my revenue. I'd like to show how it is different than the months before. I'd like to show, from the benchmark compared to us the year before, and cumulate. So I see here 69% of cumulated increase compared to the prior year. Now, is it the way that you have to look at your data? No, you can define another template. You can define another way to visualize this data. But there's a value in this repetition. Every month, that's what you get. And then you have the interpretation. And the interpretation is done exactly in the same way as we have seen before. We are technically asking to Bob the KPI guy to comment on exactly these results. So it's the same agent, but in this sense, he's not in a chat mode, he's in a pre-processing mode to create these aspects. And I go through this order. So here I have like the distribution of the category. We're good in closing. We actually pretty bad in beauty and care. So different types of visualization. Again, I like tree map. Others people don't. Doesn't matter. You can choose which what you want in your report to see in that specific way. Order evaluation, AOV, because the AOV is important, and so on. Transition component, the transactions component, and so on. But also now the drivers of change. I'd like to know the highlights of what is really different compared to the other months. And now I have something which is going to be different every day. Because here it picked the tracked revenue because it has a different behavior than this. And actually this drop here is more brutal here and probably therefore explains the overall drop. Or in that matter, the session increased a lot, and that's negatively correlated to my ROAS. Or here, the conversion rate went down. That's probably also the counter effect of my sessions going up, but basically. And the point here is that the system identified 3 KPIs that are worth your attention in this monthly review for you in advance. That's the end. And some of our customers don't like it. Me, I do. So the idea is that if I go on the now on this news box of the behavioral AI, not only am I able to see the PDF of what I would have seen, but I also have take a while to load. I also have
Welcome to the monthly results for Boxalino,
it generated
showcasing the early adopters
presenting me exactly what I did,
from
but
noisy interaction.
in a way that you can just watch, and you can do an audio version. So if you're more like into the I'm driving my car, and I would like to be able to listen to the brief of how the business is going, we can also choose.
Before and after this period, performance remains solid, showcasing the team's consistency.
Going through all of the slides you have seen, with this one's got the friends, and so on and so forth. So it's 4 minutes, so we're just gonna listen to each and every step, but I think you get the idea.
Driving their market success.
Now, this is embedded in this news part, which is kind of a social component of our admin. So this is also something that not only you share with your team, but you can comment on. You can even say, hey, pin someone to say, assign someone to say, hey, you in my team, you should pay attention to this. You should look at that. Let me tell you something which to have an issue at night. Look into it. So we have this possibility to not only have these documents, this report, and so on and so forth, but also to use it as a collaboration vehicle between the people. And that's why I wanted to show you this part, because again, technologically wise, all of this is just a layer on top of what Luca and Radko and Mark present. None of this would work if we didn't have the good data foundation, if we didn't have Bob the KPI guy able to be there, if we didn't have the semantic layer explaining to Bob the KPI guy what metrics means what is tracked revenue. Because, okay, tracked revenue, fine, it makes sense for a niche shop, but Bob the KPI needs to be told this is what it means. So all of these things are prerequisite, but you can go this far, you can automate that much into the generation of your system. And this is something which here you can have in a desktop mode, which I kind of like, because also like here I have all of these other part of the admin, all of these things that I'm able to use, but we also had it on the mobile. So that's a part which is quite important for me, because I really believe it adds another layer of productivity gain to your company, but you don't have the AI capacity that is there and usable, but that you have this result, which is really replacing a lot of hours of preparing reports, of preparing analysis, of preparing all these things, which, let's be honest, is not the most interesting usage of our time. And the famous screenshots of a dashboard with something squared in red with the comment, we have all seen it again and again and again in slide decks. It's not the most efficient way to see what's going on and to share it with the team. So that's, at least from my view, that's a net added value. But it's not only report, because reports are great to be able to have these regular meetings and so on, but it's also analysis. So here, for instance, we're applying the exact same logic to generate, and that's less for the management, that's more for the operational team, to generate documents, Google Docs, that are giving all of the analysis of these aspects. So here, for instance, while we have this new AI wizard now with the chat for inaugural, well, how is it going? And it just started 2 weeks ago. So, how is it performing? Are people using it? a slide deck is not the most efficient way to do that, but the document is perfect. Text, table, everything one below the other. So whether it is about this type of aspects of product recommendation analysis, search optimization, product detail page, and so on and so forth, we can do exactly the same as I showed you before, but to generate analysis in document form. Again, typically I would say, to summarize, the management slide, then the slides are more for the management, but the documents are more for the operational team. But again, it's not exclusive for use. Then we basically have the other part of AI, which is how do we bring AI into the front end to the end user. So we have done a lot of progress recently in bringing a new class of a polished user experience with our Flutter technology. I'm not going to discuss too much what that is, but it enables us, and this is something which will go live in the next 10 days for Pekadze, which I guess all of you know, and their feedback about testing our search, basically, because they were like, oh, should we do an A/B test between our current search and this new search? And they decide, no, it's no point. We're not going to do it. So we just want to do things. So we did a lot of progress to, and this is really gorgeous. Like, you have all of these experience here. You have all of these mobile optimized aspects. It's working on any website, whether you use Shopify, your own e-commerce, Magento, Shopper, anything. That's really great. And then the question is, how can we build on top of this is GenAI layer? So now we are still preparing the most relevant cases which are for e-commerce. But I have another case which is not for e-commerce, but shows not only what is possible to do with GenAI with a chat, but even with voice and even in Swiss German. So bear with me, because it's worthwhile, and we're going to apply exactly the same approach to e-commerce in the coming weeks. So here, what you see here, and that's already get a lot of traction, is our clients Renovero, who belongs to Local Search from Swisscom. You can do your own renovation project, and they contact you to the restaurant. So it's the typical yellow page thingy, where they have this kind of renovation project angle into it, and they facilitate this. And now, since a few weeks, we are doing their chat. We were already doing an AI-generated wizard. As per you, the detail, we cannot speak about every one of our projects in one sitting, but now we have this. So this is really like, you can type, you can speak with the push, like we already have seen in ChatGPT. You can put pictures, but we also facilitate, because on the mobile, it's not that easy to type. So we also have facilitated that you can just click, but you can also answer. So if the suggested answer, the situation answers make sense, you can just click, which is very fast. But if you're like, no, that's not relevant, then you can type or record your voice or do something like this. But again, we would like to go to the step further, and that's the work is not presenting today, but that was the work of Simon here, who integrated rapid time, because 3 weeks ago his APIs didn't exist. So he integrated in record time the new real-time API of OpenAI. And I will show you just a video to show you how it is. It's super exciting, because we all know voice is the future for the interaction. But until then, even OpenAI, they were saying, yeah, well, you should have your own speech recognition, and then you take the text, and then you send it to the Gen AI, and then it will create some text, and then you get the voice, and that's fine. But it's not fine. It takes forever. It's not this interaction, and this is really basically what changed just a few weeks ago, and that we already, thankfully, are able to prepare.
Hallo.
Sally, was willst du renovieren?
Ja, ich habe einen Kühlschrank mit einem Gefrierfach und der ist nicht mehr ganz so gut Weg, das sollte ich einen neuen haben.
Aha, es ist also ein Kühlschrankersatz. Wie ist der aktuelle ISIM-Zustand?
Ja, eigentlich der Kühlschrankteil selber geht eben nicht mehr so gut, aber dafür ist das Gefrierfach noch in Ordnung, aber das nützt natürlich wenig. Das müssen wir einfach ersetzen.
Verstanden. Und weiß schon, welches Modell der neue Kühlschrank soll sein?
Nein, noch nicht, weil es ist jetzt ein Einbaukühlschrank, den ich habe, mit einer schönen Front vorne dran, halt im Stil von der ganzen restlichen Küche.
Okay. Und hättest du ein CK-Maß vor dem neuen Gerät?
Ja, es ist so ein Standard-Einbaumaß nach Schweizer Normen. Von dem her gesehen, genauer kann ich es gerade noch nicht sagen.
Alles klar. Und müsst mir noch etwas Elektrisches oder Sanitärs machen?
Sanitär kann man nicht vorstellen, elektrisch halt einfach das Ganze rausnehmen, entsorgen und das Neue anschliessen.
Super. Die Entsorgung übernimmt also auch der Profi, korrekt?
Ja, unbedingt bitte, ja.
Perfekt. Und wettest du, dass der Handwerker den neuen Kühlschrank gerade mitbringt?
Ja, das wäre natürlich optimal, ja.
Gut. Und hast du schon ein Budget im Kopf für das Ganze?
Ja, also ich möchte eigentlich nicht mehr als 3000 Franken ausgeben.
Tipptopp. Dann haben wir schon etwas. Wenn sollte das erledigt sein?
Ja, das ist jetzt nicht so dringend, aber ich hätte es gerne bis Ende Oktober.
Alles klar. Bis Ende Oktober. Das kommt gut.
So you can see what is possible to achieve now, not only with GenAI as a tool for yourself in an admin, not only as a tool to automate your reporting processes, but as a tool for the end user at the same time. And this is a little bit what we wanted to cover when we speak about AI in actions. That's what we mean. Before there was like, oh, can you imagine what would be possible to do with this AI? That was yesterday. Today, it's not about what's possible to do, it's what we do. We're entering that phase, which is, from my perspective, much more exciting because it's all about actually accomplishing things with AI every day in the most important thing the users, both you users and your team, has to deal with on a daily basis.